Welcome, and thank you for clicking on this video. Welcome to episode number 11 in the series where we are modding the Squier Sonic Series Bronco bass to make it sound as good as we can get it. In this episode, we're going to experiment with different types of strings. More specifically, we're going to string it with Thomastik infelled Flatwounds and then the Adagio Tapewounds. Let's go! Now, changing strings is not really a modification in the true sense of the word. However, the choice of string you put on a bass will have a dramatic effect on how it sounds and, more importantly, how it feels. So today, we're going to try two different types of strings. Now, the round wound stock strings that came on this bass have been punished and abused by me in the past several weeks filming these episodes. This bass has been restrung dozens of times now with all the different pickup swaps and all the different bridge swaps. And I'm frankly quite impressed that they have lasted this long. But as you can see from this photo, the low E string is starting to fray and is starting to come unwound and unravel around the tuning peg. So it's a perfect time to try new strings on this Bronco bass. Now, if you really want to dramatically change the tone of your bass, then trying a different outer wrap is probably one of the least expensive ways to get a different sound from your bass. And in today's episode, we're going to try a flat wound from Thomastik infelled, and then we're also going to try a tape wound from the Adagio. Now, one of the things with flat wounds and tape wounds is if you really roll the tone knob up past 50%, the brightness tends to sound more clanky than it does bright and aggressive. And for me and my ears and my sonic taste, I don't really like the way that sounds. So for these playing examples, we're going to have the tone knob at 25% and 50%. We're going to compare both the flat wound and the tape wounds with those tone settings. Then we're going to try it with a pick. And we're also, towards the end of this playing example, going to compare it with my first generation Fender Mustang PJ bass, which is strung with Thomastik infelled Flatwounds. And then you can be the judge. Will this sub $300 bass with Flatwounds come anywhere close to my beloved Fender Mustang with TI flats? To make this episode more relevant to more viewers, I have reinstalled the stock single coil pickup into this bass. This way, you can have a better sense of what different types of strings sound like without any of the other stuff I've done to this bass already. Well, I hope you enjoyed that playing example. Please let me know what you thought of the tones by leaving a comment below. In general, I felt the TI flats really brought out a nice thumpy character from this bass, and the highs did not sound brittle at all. It was a nice full round bass sound. And I thought, even with the stock pickup, it made this bass sound pretty good. When you factor in the price difference between a Bronco bass and a PJ or Players series Mustang, tonally, they're not that different. So I gotta say, the TI flats impressed me in this Bronco bass. Now, with the D'Addario Tapewounds. These are the short scale version, and as you can tell from the location of the silk wrapping, they fit perfectly on this 30-inch bass. In general, if you are looking for a very easy to play string, very low tension and easy on your fingertips, Tapewounds will very easily fit that bill. However, with that comes a few issues. The tension sometimes can feel so low that for me, I actually feel like I'm bending the note slightly sharp every time I fret a note. Now, in terms of how Tapewounds feel, some players find them a little sticky. The D'Addario ones are pretty smooth, but the texture and the feel of the Tapewounds on your fingertips is a bit of an acquired taste, and it will take some getting used to. Due to the Tapewound being thicker than a traditional string, I did have to wrestle the silk ends into these Bronco tuners because the slots were cut a bit on the narrow side. In terms of tone, when you A/B them with the Thomastik Infeld Flatwounds, I did feel the Tapewound had quite a bit less output and volume compared to the TI flats. Now the TI flats on their own are already a bit on the lower output side compared to, say, a Dodero XL round wound. So the Tapewounds are even less output than that. And I think the reason for that is there's just less metal underneath the Tapewound. The other issue, which may or may not be relevant depending on the bass you play, is the Tapewounds are not conductive. So in noisier venues, when you ground the bass out by touching the strings, due to the presence of ground wire under the bridge, you can actually reduce the noise by just holding onto the bass and the strings. However, if you have Tapewounds, because this is not conductive, that will no longer work. And if you have a noisy bass, like this one, with a single coil pickup, it's just gonna hum. So overall, experimenting with different outer wraps of the string can dramatically change the sound and tone of a bass. And hopefully, as I've demonstrated in this episode, this Bronco bass can take on a whole new character with different types of strings. Thank you so much for watching this video. I'll see you next time.